Welcome to a self-published author's diary. I am Elodie Novodatsky. I write about first times, second chances, things that scare the crap out of me, and things that make me laugh out loud. I'll be speaking with you and sharing my adventures in self-publishing, the behind the scenes of writing, and the business side of it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's 8:45 a.m. here in Maryland on July 1st. I cannot believe we're already in July, but that's a topic for another day. I've been working this morning since about 5:30 a.m. I woke up around 5 a.m. It was not planned, it's just happened. And since I was up, I thought, well, I might as well start working. So I've been doing a little bit of promotion, posting in my Facebook group. I don't post super often on my Facebook group, and the reach right now was very low. And by reach, I mean that there were about 100 active people on Facebook who are members of my Cozy Nook, and my post reached about 7 of them. And out of those 7, I'm pretty sure I was one of them, and my husband was another one. So yeah, and maybe my mom. It hasn't reached a whole lot of people. Otherwise, we've been watching The Manifest. We just started watching it. I talked last week that we finished watching For All Mankind. I've been reading about why the showrunners have decided to end the season that way. Again, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but it's very interesting to listen to the process about why they made the choices that they made. Yeah, The Manifest on Netflix, apparently it's also, or actually it's not apparently, I think it's an NBC series as well. We're getting into it. Some of the one-liners, they're getting funnier as the show goes on. I know it's not like a funny show, but some of the interaction between the characters is getting, I don't know, maybe in a way more natural. Maybe because we know more of their backstory now. We're liking it so far. We also just started watching the second season of Motherland Fort Salem on Hulu. And yeah, we didn't even finish watching the first episode yet, but we really enjoyed the first season. And so yeah, now that the second season is there, we started watching it. I'm still reading White Woman and the Blues, and the reason why is because I cannot find the time to actually sit down and read because I'm on deadline. And the fact that I'm on deadline means that every moment that I can find is spent either doing promotion, writing, revising, thinking about what my next step is going to be in terms of finding readers, and also the next book is already going in my, I'm already planning and plotting the next books in my head. And so even at night, when I usually would, before I go to sleep, I usually would read. But right now I'm so focused on my own story that I'm rereading a book that I've already read. That's kind of like a comfort read, something that I know what's going to happen, that everything is already in my mind a little bit, so that it's just something that I do sometimes, that it helps me then relax. So today I'm going to be talking about going wide with my audiobooks. And I don't know if you're aware or if you have seen, it was an update from ACX in January 2021. As you know, or as you may not know, but when you're producing an audiobook and you're doing it through ACX, which is then you have the choice between exclusive and non-exclusive. If you're non-exclusive, you gain less royalties when listeners buy your audiobook on Audible or Amazon on iTunes. If you choose non-exclusive, you can, however, have your audiobook available on many different platforms. And so I had started by being exclusive with ACX. Something almost fell on, like a blankie almost fell on my cat. My cat is not happy about it. Anyways, so I was, even for books that had been narrated by a narrator with whom I do not do royalty share, because when you do royalty share via ACX, you are then exclusive to ACX. But if you do non-royalty share, so you pay a higher price upfront to the narrator, you can choose between exclusive and non-exclusive. But you can also remove your books from being exclusive to being non-exclusive. You can change the agreement with ACX. And before January 2021, you had to wait 1 year. And now you can only wait 90 days. Effective February 1st, 2021, I'm quoting from their press release, ACX rights holders of DIY or pay for production titles that have been on sale for 90 or more days can convert their distribution type from exclusive to non-exclusive. In addition, all ACX rights holders will have the option to terminate after 90 days of distribution, but rights holders with royalty share or royalty share plus deals must provide producer consent when making their requests. Basically, I have a few pay for production titles, including one in French, actually two in French, and some bilinguals. And so I wanted to change them from ACX being exclusive to now being on Findaway Voices. If they are on Findaway Voices, they can then be available in libraries. Library is one avenue that I really want to be more present in because I think it is really helpful to find new readers. There is, according to Findaway Voices blog, they say Americans' appetite for audiobooks continue to grow, with 2019 clocking in 16% industry growth in sales. While we see growth globally in the audiobook market, in that particular article, they were talking more about the US market. Edison's Research National Survey of American audiobook listeners ages 18 and up found that the average number of audiobooks listened to per year increased to 8.1 in 2019, up from 6.8 in 2018. There are more people listening, and there is also a younger audience. So 57% of frequent audiobook listeners are under the age of 45. This is up from 51% in 2019. And what's very interesting here is the next point. A clear market for shorter audiobooks exists, with 40% of audiobook purchasers saying they would buy an audiobook that is 1 to 3 hours long. For me, that's interesting because I have been thinking about doing some novellas, and novellas then would turn out to be 2 to 3 hours. And it's also interesting because A Summer Like No Other is a bit over 3 hours. So it's maybe a book that I can try to market more. Even though the hottest and most popular audiobooks genre continues to be mysteries, thriller, and suspense, with 37% of respondents say they listen to the genre the most, up from 27% in 2018 and 31% in 2019. Even though they also saw a sharp increase in romance, for example. I don't have access to the full report. I have access to several articles that are basically based on a press release from the Audio Publishers Association, which, by the way, the 2022 Audies competition is open for entries. The deadline to enter most entries is July 15th. Visit the Audies online for details and to enter today. This is not an ad. I'm just reading from the APA website right now. Turning your books into audiobooks is an entire also different topic because there are so many things that you need to think about and decide when you're doing this. There's a very interesting interview with Nana Malone about her turning her books into audiobooks. And there is a question there where she's asked, have you found that turning your own books into audiobooks has influenced how you write? And she answers, I realized a while ago that I'm basically writing television. My editors are always asking for more emotion, more description, more on the page, but my strong suit has always been banter, as if the characters are on screen. So I'm always ready for audio. My books that haven't worked in audio have been the ones where I tried to do more exposition and wrote less naturally to my strength. I think it's important for a writer to evolve, but you've also got to understand yourself better so you can sink into who you are. And this sentence really resonated with me. I think it's important for a writer to evolve, but you've also got to understand yourself better so you can sink into who you are. And if you're interested in listening to Nana Malone's audiobook, The Spy in 3B, a Kobo original, is the first book in the Covert Affairs duet. I really recommend reading this interview. I'm going to link to it on the show's description because she also goes into about her writing process and being herself on posing as a model on covers because there were not a lot of pictures with Black women that could be used for covers. She says it wasn't enough for me just to depict a Black woman on the covers. I wanted to show a dark-skinned Black woman. She also posed for covers for her own books. I mean, just read this entire interview. It's very, very interesting. And so talking about, deciding for the audiobook, as I said, I think it's an entire topic that maybe I'll go into at some point if you're interested. When it comes, however, to distribution, if you want to move your ACX audiobooks to Findaway Voices, for example, or another distributor, Findaway Voices has a template that you can use. It's very easy. Like you look for I will also add it to my show's description, but you can just use that template, send an email to ACX. ACX took from exclusive to non-exclusive within 5 business days. They told me it was going to take up to 20 business days, but like a week later, I had an email saying, hey, now it's good. I have changed already or have added one of my French audiobooks, the French audiobook version of Fear Me Not, La Peur dans le Sang, wide. And I am not yet sure if it got sales or not. Some of the sales you can see right away, and some of them you only see in your royalty reports. But I can tell you that in France, there has also been a rise in audiobook. So if I'm looking at the website of the Syndicat National de l'Édition, there is 1 out of 5 French people who have already listened to an audiobook and 1 out of 10 who have bought one. The thing though is that 58% still listen to the audiobook on a CD, but the MP3 and the online is starting to rise. And that's what I'm going to try to focus on, is those people who are starting to listen to audiobooks online and or via their phone, via their smartphone. I've read some of my own audiobooks in French, like Fear Me Not in French. I've read it with a male actor, read the Dimitri part, and I read the Erin part, but I cannot do that for See Me Not. There's singing in it. I cannot read and sing. Like, I cannot sing. This is just, my singing is awful. This is not going to happen. A Summer Like No Other is another book that I'd like to have available in French, and I retain the rights for Summer Like No Other, the audiobook. So I think that's the next one I might do in French and try to promote that in the next couple of months if I either manage to work it out with my niece or if I find an actor, if she's too busy and, it ends up not working out, which is totally fine, then I need to find an actor because I want to do it pay for production. And having it wide also means that I can have it on YouTube. Summer Like No Other, this is what I've done. This is something that I'm probably going to be working more on. So yeah, it's a lot of possibilities. And I think when it comes to audiobook, having it in libraries, I believe is very important to me as I'm trying to get more and more audiobooks listeners and readers. When you're using Findaway Voices, you may have a fee, but you don't have a fee if you use it from draft to digital. So I put up my audiobooks by using draft to digital. So this is something that I'm doing. And in Germany, there are also more and more people that are listening to audiobooks. So I think my bilingual books, the one when it comes to learning a new language, will especially do well, not only on Audible because, again, of the libraries. And I think that even though there is a pretty big percentage of the people who are registered, to get, or who have signed up for services such as Audible, where it's like not a pay per listen, but more you get, a certain amount of credits and you can buy a certain amount of books with those credits, or audiobooks with those credits. I still think that having my books wide and available on Libro.fm, on Google, and Apple at a lower price, because with Findaway Voices, I can set my prices, which is not the case with Audible. And so having those audiobooks available at a cheaper price, I think might help me also in the longer run. So I'll keep you updated on what I decide and what I do, and if going wide helps my sales, once I also work on a bit of marketing for it. I read sometimes in some of the authors groups that I'm in that, oh yeah, I just released a book, I don't do any marketing, and this is how much I'm making. I know from experience, and I know from being around for quite a while now in the self-publishing world, that there are ups and downs when it comes to that. And a lot of the successful authors usually end up doing also marketing, so they can stay in readers' minds. And I'll talk to you next week about starting a bit from scratch with The Leftover Bride in English and in French, and how that's working. But I will also give you a little update on my struggles and smiles section of this episode. Coming now. And now a short message from our sponsor. Stay tuned. After, you'll be hearing about the struggles and smiles of my week as a self-published author. So what did I struggle with and what made me smile this week when it comes to writing and self-publishing? So, struggles. I struggled with realizing that I'm starting from scratch with the French version of The Leftover Bride when it comes to marketing. I have not published a book in French in years, just like I haven't published a book in English in years. When I used to put up a book for pre-order in French, I would get pre-orders almost right away. I would not even need to announce it. It would just be that people probably followed me on Amazon and would get an email, or I don't know how they found out, but people just pre-ordered my books right away. And right now, I've put it for pre-order, and I did not get a pre-order until I announced it, and then until I started boosting some posts on Facebook. So I've done that. I've started boosting them about 2 days ago. I don't boost them, I boost them for a total of $8 for 4 days, so it's $2 per day. The pre-order price of The Leftover Bride in French is $2.99, so I've got already 5 pre-orders within the past 3 days. And I know that it will, I will get more pre-orders as I start advertising it more, as I focus solely on the French version. Right now I'm focusing on both the English version and the French version. And what actually made me smile is that for my cover reveal, I had set myself a small goal of having 3 additional pre-orders on the day or the day after the cover reveal. So I was sitting at 13 pre-orders by the time I did the cover reveal, which again is not a whole lot, but it's better than ours, worse than ours. But I got 7 more pre-orders after the cover reveal. So this has this has not only filled my expectations or my goals, it has really blown away my goals that I had. This is not even after, sharing the first 5 chapters, which I will share first with my newsletter subscribers, but then we'll also do an ad on Facebook to gain more more newsletter subscribers, and then indicate to those readers that the book is available for pre-order for only 99 cents. And if they want to join my reading team, that they can just reply to this email and all of that. So yeah, I was very excited about this. The struggles and the smiles is also that my critic partners now have the first third of the book. And it's in a very, in my mind, we'll see if they confirm it, it's in a very good spot, meaning that I've worked on this book a lot. I was telling them on Google Chat yesterday, I think, that it's one book that I feel super confident about, but also not confident at all. Meaning that I am super confident about it, but I'm also worried that I'm too confident about it. Like, meaning that maybe I am wrong, maybe it is bad, maybe the pacing is not good, maybe my characters are not likable, maybe the sexy moments are not sexy. And right now in those chapters that they have, there is like tension building, but there is nothing really happening in terms of sexy times. It's coming in the next chapters, and maybe they're not as funny together as I thought they are. Maybe there is no moments that make them laugh or make them smile. Maybe. But at the same time, I know those characters so well. I know them. I really know them. And that makes me smile because this is so incredible to me that I can really flesh out Ryan and Sorka. Like, this is really, I don't know, their story was a story I needed to write at the time that I wrote it, and I am just crossing my fingers that people who read it smile when they read it and get that little happy moment. And yeah, that's really what I'm hoping with this book. And then I was able to plot in my mind the next few books, and that also has making me smile, because while I know that, you know, the stories or chapters that I have in my mind may change. I don't have the chapters yet, but I have some moments in my mind. They may change. Like, for example, I plotted a chapter I wanted to add in The Leftover Bride, and halfway through, it didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to turn. It's cuter. I wrote it in a much cuter way than what I thought I would write it. It's not angsty, it's just cute, which is great for that particular chapter. But for the next books in the series, because it's going to be a series of standalone, I have already set up one of the sisters' story. I have already set up the ex-fiance's story. I have already set up another sister story, and in my mind I have an older brother's story. Yeah, there are 5 children in that family. This is very exciting to me. So that was the main things that I struggled with and the main things that I smiled about this week when it comes to writing and self-publishing. I am keeping it short because I have to go back to The Leftover Bride. I am using right now Pro Writing Aid instead of Grammarly, and I'm liking it. I'm liking it better than Grammarly. I'm trying it for free right now, Pro Writing Aid, but I think I'm going to make the switch. So it's very, it's very exciting. I am working, I am stressed because I want to make sure that the next chapters also hold up to what I've created. So in the revision process, I have to change a few things as I go. And again, I think it's one of my best works, if not. It's also very different than what I've written so far. So I think I can't really compare it saying like, oh yeah, it's better than, but it's definitely one of my best work, I think. Maybe. I'll let you know. I mean, maybe you will let me know. Okay, well, on that note, I am going to go back to The Leftover Bride, and I wish you all a wonderful day or evening or night, whatever you're listening. Happy writing if you're a writer, and to everyone, happy reading.